I'm going to call the Budget Committee meeting to order. It's Monday, January 25th, 2021 at 7:17 p.m. via teleconference. As chairman of the Budget Review Committee, I find that due to the state of emergency declared by the governor as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, and in accordance with the governor's emergency order number 12 pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, this public body is authorized to meet electronically. Please note that there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to this meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the governor's emergency order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, I am confirming that we are providing access to the meeting by telephone with additional access possibilities by video or other electronic means. To access Zoom, please refer to the agenda or the city's website for the meeting link. To join by phone, dial 1-929-205-6099. Meeting ID is 841-5320-8823 and passcode 071918. The public may also view the meeting via channel 16. We previously gave notice to the public of the necessary information for accessing the meeting through public postings. Instructions have been provided on the Cities of Nashua's website at www.nashua.nh.gov and publicly noticed at City Hall and the Nashua Public Library. If anyone has a problem accessing the meeting via phone or channel 16, please call 603-821-2049 and they will help you connect. In the event that the public is unable to access the meeting via the methods mentioned above, the meeting will be adjourned and rescheduled. Please note that all votes that are taken during the meeting shall be done by a roll call. Let's start the meeting by taking the roll call of attendance. When each member states their presence, please also state whether there is anyone in the room with you during the meeting, which is required under the right to know law. Alderman O'Brien, would you please call the roll?
Thank you, Alderman Dowd. Alderwomen at large, Shoshana Kelly.
I'm here, I'm alone, and I can hear everyone.
The clerk, Alderman O'Brien, is present. I can hear the proceedings, and I am alone. Alderman at large, Laurie Wilshire.
I'm here, I'm alone, and I can hear everyone.
Alderman Ernie Jetty.
I'm here alone and I can hear the proceedings.
Alderman Jan Schmidt.
I'm present, alone, and can hear everyone.
Alderman at large, Ben Clemens.
I am here and I'm alone and I can hear everyone.
Alderman Richard Dowd.
Yes, I'm present. I can hear everyone and I am here alone. We have
Also, Mr. Chairman, present, Aldermans Tenzer, Clee, Cleaver, and Lou. Also in attendance, David Fredette, Tax Collector Treasurer, Fire Chiefs Rhodes, Assistant Chief Buxton, Deputy Chief Kirk. Also in attendance, Lisa Fodor, Public Works Director, with Jeff LaFleur, and City Engineer Dan Hudson.
all right.
I'm here too.
Alderman Harry Gathright here as well.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Alderman O'Brien. All right. The first item on the agenda is public comment. Is there anyone from the public on the meeting that would like to speak? I don't. Alderman Lou?
Is it okay for us to have public comment before the noticed time of the meeting?
Well, we will also have a second public comment and then we'll give some leeway at that point in time if anybody has questions. Okay. Communication?
Alderman Dowd,
Yes.
can you just verify with Attorney Bolton? I am also, only because this is a bond vote, you know, we have to be very careful. It does say 7:30 p.m. or immediately after the special Board of Alderman public here. And so I'm not sure if that really means you can do this now. You do actually have to wait to 7:30. Hopefully Attorney Bolton can answer that.
Attorney
Sorry.
Bolton?
You can go ahead. It was advertised as potentially beginning the meeting immediately following the special meeting of the board. So that's what you're doing. So it's as advertised.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, communications,
There are none.
unfinished business,
None.
new business resolutions.
Before us this evening is R-21-105, authorizing the mayor and city treasurer to issue bonds not to exceed the amount of $1,500,000 to purchase 2 new engine pumper trucks for the fire department. Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion to recommend final passage by roll call.
Okay, you've heard the motion. Are there any questions or concerns relative to this particular resolution? Alderman Lou?
Mr. Chairman, I looked back at I just wanted to confirm that we had another one of these pumper trucks in the works for purchase next year. Is this something that came up during the January capital improvement committees? Because I don't see it in the projected items for 2022.
Now, I think as was explained by Assistant Chief Buxton, that we are buying the truck for this year and the truck in the bonding plan for next year to satisfy both those requirements and to save $150,000 by doing the combination of the acquisition. So we will not be buying another truck in 22. They're both being bought now.
Could I follow up, please?
Sure.
Thank you. I must have, I may have misspoken. What I meant to say is, I don't see a pumper truck on the schedule for 2022. I do see one for 21, so I understand why we're discussing bonding for one. Am I looking in the wrong place? I'm actually using what was in our budget book. So where would
Were you
I,
look-
how would
were
I?
you looking at the SURF plan?
Yes, I believe so. The SURF plan. Well, no, capital improvements program.
That's a different animal.
I see.
Treasurer Fredette, is he still on?
Yeah.
Okay, do you want to answer that?
Well, in the budget book is strictly the SURF items that are being approved for fiscal year 21. As said, there is another vehicle in the fiscal year 22 SURF that would not show in the fiscal year 21 budget book, but it is in the SURF list. And they decided to buy both because they can save at least $150,000 by doing so. So that one page in the budget book strictly shows SURF items to be purchased in 21.
Okay, could I follow up, please?
Follow up?
I just want, I understand the rationale and a 10% discount. I get that. I'm on the finance committee and I typically try to verify things or look at, but so is this something that we can actually review, or do we just take your word for it that it's on 2022? I mean, is it documented anywhere that we have plans?
It's in the bonding plan, which hasn't been changed in quite some time. Again, Treasurer Fredette, would you like to address that?
I can send her the SURF plan tomorrow morning or even tonight. It's certainly in the SURF plan, the full SURF plan. You're only looking at the budget for fiscal year 21, so you only see that one sheet, but we have a plan that goes out 6 years for all kinds of vehicles for every department. I can send that
which is tied to the bonding plan.
right.
Thank you. May I just follow up with one question?
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Fredette. On a bonding plan that I've seen, I think that there are bonding amounts, but not assets that are related to them. Is the bonding plan that you're sending, does it have the, breakdown of what assets? Is there some way I can see that we did indeed have that on the schedule, the pumper truck?
Mr. Chair?
Sure. Go ahead, Treasurer
I'm not
Fredette.
sending you the bonding plan. I'm sending you the SURF plan. The bonding plan was reviewed by the Board of Aldermen back in the late September. It hasn't really changed since then. We only update it twice a year. It will be updated in the spring. But on the bonding plan itself, it does show the items that are planned to be purchased. But I was sending you the SURF plan because that seemed to be your question, that it was not in SURF, but it is.
And we tie the surf acquisitions, especially the large ones, to the bonding plan because we're going to bond for them because it's the most cost-effective way to buy them.
No, that's great. I used the wrong term. So the SURF plan. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions relative to R21-105? Alderman O'Brien.
Thank you, Chairman Dowd. I'd like to compliment the fire department because I think it was prudent if we could save a little bit of something, and these trucks are expensive, approximately of savings by purchasing both at the same time of $100,000 to $130,000 to $150,000 loosely. But also, case in point, if the Chief Buxton wants to chime in on this, it's my understanding that these trucks just don't basically go away. They then brought back into reserve status in case of some mechanical failure. By purchasing the early truck, that means we're going to get a younger vehicle that's going to perhaps stay in that reserve fleet and be much more mechanically sound to fit the needs for the community in case of that type of emergency. And Chief Buxton, would you agree with that? Or if you want to explain the replacement process?
Mr. Chairman, is okay?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so Steve Buxton, Nashua Fire. So the fire department does have a replacement program in place. We aim to get 12 years out of one of our pumper trucks, 15 years out of one of our ladder trucks. When we buy a new truck or two, like in this case, those trucks are then placed into reserve status. Actually, our mechanics do an evaluation of them to decide which truck is the best to keep. And we hold on to it. So when one of the other trucks needs to have preventive maintenance work or a breakdown takes place, that truck can be placed in frontline status. So it's important that we place the trucks into that reserve status at somewhere between that 12 to 15 year mark, much more beyond that, and we start to get up in age. The two trucks we're talking about tonight, engine 3, which is up for replacement, already has 90,000 miles on it, as well as 3,800 engine hours. Engine 5 has 112,000 miles on it and about 7,600 engine hours. The average, according to DOT, is about 25 to 30 miles per an engine hour. So you can see both of these trucks are close to being 200,000 miles to 300,000 mile trucks. So they have seen their day out on the front line. Reserve apparatus does see quite a bit of activity. We have a sizable fleet and our mechanics do a wonderful job keeping it in tip-top shape. So they're constantly being rotated through for preventative maintenance. So to Alderman O'Brien's point, it is in our best interest to maintain a schedule that has been vetted and proven to do very well for the city cost-effective wise throughout the years.
Also, with one of our latest acquisitions, we had an issue that required it to go back to the manufacturer and have something corrected. And it was a good thing we had the old truck in reserve that filled in while the new truck was being fixed. Okay, Alderman Clee.
Thank you for this. I just wanted to comment about it and ask a question, and I think that it was kind of already answered. This is pretty typical of what we do every time we're buying. We have another truck in in abeyance, or at least one for every two or something to that nature. So this is pretty typical. We're not doing anything out of the ordinary. And I know sometimes typical needs to be changed, but we do this out of all caution. Is that correct? I'm just asking this question more for the public and for clarity. Is that correct?
You're asking Chief Buxton?
Yes, I am. I'm sorry. My apologies.
Chief?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, this is our typical replacement schedule. I've been on the fire department here in Nashua a little better than 25 years. I can tell you when I got here, we were riding on CF Mac fire trucks, which will make Alderman O'Brien smile over there. And the joke back then was that when you got your brand new fire truck, which was a Pierce, they'd pass around a roll of duct tape and spray paint for you to use on the next oldest truck that was due for replacement. Thank goodness we're a long ways from that. It's because of this replacement schedule that was crafted and has been adjusted throughout the years. In addition to that, the city's growing. Call volume consistently goes up, so the miles and the engine hours put on the apparatus also rise through that. The trucks are much more technical now, so they go in for PMs a little bit more frequently, but their performance in the field is also much better. So to your point, this is the typical replacement schedule that we wish to continue holding.
May I make just one comment, Chairman Dowd?
Tricia?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Thank you. I appreciate that. It makes me feel better knowing that if we do have to have something that goes up for maintenance, or as you put it, PM, that we do have something, that we're not sitting there waiting. You know, the truck is in the shop, so we can't do anything. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Anyone else have any comments or questions? Alderman Clemmons?
I think Alderman Kelly might have had her hand up before me, so if she wants to speak first, that's okay.
Why am I not seeing her?
I'm not on video, but my little
Oh, I see your hand was up. Yeah.
hand is up. Thank you, Alderman Clemens. So my question was just about, I appreciate the fire department, going and finding this efficiencies in buying two at one time. My question is whether or not, when we plan out surf, are we trying not to do multiple vehicles at once? And so if you buy them at the same time, are they going to come up at the same time? In 16 or 12 years or whatever Chief Buxton was saying.
Is that a question to?
Yep, it is a question. It's about how are we planning surf, and if we buy two at one time, does that make it that we're going to have two hit our budget again in 12 years? So do we tend to do it like this? And is it worth the savings?
Chief Buxton?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To the Alderwoman's point, engine 3 and engine 5 were bought when they were first replaced. They were bought approximately 6 months apart. They were just separated in budget cycles way back then, and that continues to hold true through the years. So their timing continues to be consistent. We are able to achieve some savings by pulling this deal together. But at the end of the day, we're going to be in front of you to request an engine next year as well, if we don't execute the two of them this evening.
Does that answer your question, Alderman Kelly?
Yes, I was just going to say thank you. That definitely clarified. So
okay, and I think it also releases some of the strain on FY22 acquisitions and the FY22 surf. Any other questions? Alderman Clemens.
Thank you. Yeah, my question is to the treasurer. I'm just curious what our bond rates are now and what we can expect to get as a rate on these.
Excellent question. Treasurer Fredette?
Mr. Chairman, well, I mentioned earlier that last fall we did review the bond sales plan. That was the 5-year plan. And it will be updated this spring, although there's not going to be a lot of changes to it, as far as I know. Since the bond plan was reviewed, we'd had 2 sales. We had a sale in October. And the true interest cost for that sale was 1.61% interest rate. And that was budgeted at 2% in the plan. So we did very good there. The rates are unbelievably low. And also just last week, we sold the PAC $21 million bond and a hydro dam $6.2 million bond. And the PAC is a 25-year bond, and these are taxable bonds. And the true interest cost on that is 1.858, unbelievably low again. And we had budgeted that in the plan at 2.5%. So we're doing very good. You know, when you budget conservatively, you end up doing good. I just never thought these rates would ever come around like this at that low. So I think next year's plan is going to be pretty healthy.
Yeah, thank you. That's fantastic news. That's what a AAA bond rating will do. That's what the market's showing us too, is you know, so this is definitely a prudent purchase, especially at this time. So it'll get my support. And again, thank you, Treasurer Fredette, for all you do. You know, you're a big part of our success in the city. So thank you.
Yeah, those low rates also lower our payments on these bonds as well, which is another savings. Any other questions or concerns relative to R21-105? Seeing none, the motion on the floor is to recommend final passage to the full board by roll call. Alderman O'Brien.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Alderman Clemmons.
Yes.
Alderman Clemmons votes yay. Alderman Schmidt.
I also vote yay.
Alderman Schmidt votes yay. Alderman Jettie.
Yes.
Alderman Jettie votes yay. Alderman Wilshire.
Yes.
Alderman Wilshire votes yay. Alderman O'Brien, the clerk, votes yay. Alderwoman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderwoman Kelly votes yay. Alderman Dow.
Yay.
Alderman Dow votes yay. Mr. Chairman, that's 7 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion carries. Next item is R21-106, authorizing the mayor and the city treasurer to issue bonds not to exceed the amount of $2,700,000 for various improvements at the solid waste department for Hills landfill and the purchase of 2 refuge trucks. Alderman O'Brien.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion to recommend final passage by roll call.
Motion is to recommend final passage of R21-106. Is there any questions or concerns on that bond? Alderman O'Brien?
Yes. I just, so that I'm totally for this, but I'm asking this question just to make sure one hand knows what the other hand is doing. And I think Ms. Photo knows that there is a parking study that's going on. And I know in certain neighborhoods, only a certain type of refuge truck can go into where there's like overnight on-street parking, as compared to the truck that has that flying arm that can lift up because of the way the parking situation. So which trucks are we purchasing? Looking at the long term of these vehicles, are we safe in purchasing them? And I know it's not etched in stone, but taking in mind with the futuristic parking study that is coming down.
Director Photo?
I can, Superintendent LaFleur is probably not as familiar with that as I am. So I have said this publicly, and I'm glad to have the opportunity to say this this evening, Alderman O'Brien. So I'm glad you brought it up. We have automated as much of the city as we possibly could many years ago, actually, but before my time. with the city. And so, that means huge investment in of course, equipment, in toters, and also we have fewer people that work for the solid waste department because we can have one person in an automated truck. So while I certainly would support overnight parking in areas that need it, I would be very concerned about overnight parking in the areas that it's not required. And that's because there will be a level of service problem. We will have challenges picking up trash. We'll have challenges sweeping streets. It'll be challenging trying to plow as well. So I'm very concerned in that our residents will not have the level of service they currently have if we have overnight parking throughout the city. So
Thank you. Did that answer your question, Alderman O'Brien?
Yeah, kind of. What it is these trucks are the lift arm. So the area that they will be serving the truck will have a longevity with us then, is basically regardless of what happens futuristically with the parking study. Because I imagine if we do increase more, we're going to have to go to a rear loader, basically.
we would have to completely change our fleet if we went to rear load packers, because we've automated as much of the city as we possibly can. Most of the city is automated now, with the exception of the really the inner city is really some of the only places, and of course, and also recycling. Recycling's not fully automated at this point. But as far as trash goes, we've automated as much as we can. So that would be a huge shift. We'd have to purchase new trucks, and we'd have to also hire additional staff to be able to, because we put out 2 or 3 people on a packer, whereas the automated trucks, there's only 1 person per truck.
Thank you, Ms. Fogle.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or concerns relative to this resolution? Alderman Jettie?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, following up on Alderman O'Brien's question, I mean, I understand what Director Foto says about her opposition to extending overnight parking wholesale throughout the city, and the effect that would have on the Department of Public Works' ability to pick up trash, plow streets, and sweep streets. But that's an argument against extending the overnight parking. But the decision about overnight parking, remains to be made. So I'm wondering if it's wise for us to invest in the type of refuse vehicles that we would not be able to use if in fact we decide to extend overnight parking throughout the city. I'm not saying we should. I'm just saying that we're spending money on a study. We're asking the residents to express their opinion, and to kind of lock ourselves into buying some trucks, which would make it more difficult to make the decision to extend overnight parking if that's what the residents want. So I think Alderman O'Brien has brought up a good point. Should we delay this decision until we know what we're going to do with the parking?
No, Alderman Jettie, I wasn't suggesting that we wouldn't continue to pick up. We would never, ever go back to all rear load packers. That would be a huge step backwards. What I was suggesting is there will be definitely a level of service decrease if there is overnight parking, because there will be times when we will not be able to, we'll miss toters because there will be cars parked. In other words, if there's a car parked within 6 feet of a toter, we would not be able to pick up that toter. It would be too close. So those would be the sorts of problems we'd have. It would also be a challenge for us to push snow back. We already can't tow nearly as many cars as we really need to be able to push snow back during a snowstorm. That would exacerbate the problem. Same thing with sweeping. We would not be able to sweep as well. So I'm not saying that we would shift in any of our programs. It would just be, we would get a lot of, I'm concerned because I know that the level of complaints would increase drastically if that happened. That's all that I'm saying. We would not buy different types of trucks as a result of, even if the city decided to do overnight parking throughout the city. So I just want to make sure I clarify that.
Yeah, when we started the on-street parking, overnight parking, it was to alleviate the concerns in the immediate downtown where there was a lack of parking, and we were trying to accommodate the residents. I don't think that it would be prudent to expand the on-street parking overnight in most of the residential areas of the city for a number of reasons, many of which were just mentioned. But if you have a car in the street and the city plows it in like they do in Boston, you know, the next morning they're going to call and say, come dig my car out. And that's a huge expense. So in this traffic study that we haven't got into yet, I think there's a lot of things to be considered, including the added expense if we filled up the streets with cars in the normal residential areas, when that would cause a huge impact to our budget. So I'd rather separate this discussion from the on-street parking thing, because that's not an immediate thing and has a lot of study to do. And I, for one, for instance, am not in favor of allowing on-street parking throughout the residential areas in R9, R40 zones. You know, it doesn't make sense. So do you have any other follow-up questions, Alderman Jettie?
Yes, I do. Thank you. Before we leave the parking thing, I'm not sure when you said that, where, the parking study is we are in the middle of that parking study. Some of the wards have already had their town meetings, giving residents a chance to express their opinion, and we're continuing that. My point was that, if the decision were to be made, I'm not saying it will be, but if it was made that we would extend parking and we would need a different type of truck, it wouldn't make sense to be buying trucks. But Director Foto has said that, we would still be buying these same trucks, no matter, what the results of the parking study, might end up being. So I'm satisfied with her answer to that part of the question. My additional questions are, regarding the landfill gas expansion. I'm very much, since my ward, the landfill is in my ward, I'm very much in favor of making sure that that we do whatever we can to prevent or mitigate any problems with gas that might be emitted from the landfill, any odor problems. So, but I would be interested in knowing in more detail if I could, could someone expand a little bit about the landfill gas expansion? Exactly what is that entailing? I know that the superintendent talked about being able to hire a firm to deal with problems as they occur, but what is the gas expansion part of this? What does that mean? What does that entail?
Superintendent LaFleur?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Alderman Jettie, the gas expansion, we try to do it every year at the landfill. It's about a $350,000 $400,000 project every year. Our new cell that just opened, phase 3, is getting to the height where we're acceptable to put in good gas collection and start collecting the gases from the decomposing trash. So doing the $1.2 million will give me the opportunity to say, if I have an issue where there's some odors coming out of the landfill, I can call the firm directly, have them come in, put in some gas collection, and hopefully eliminate that certain troubled area. This is also going to be our normal year to year gas expansions. As the landfill grows, we have to put more and more in per our permit.
Superintendent LaFleur, when we collect these gases, don't we also sell them?
We do. We send it over to EPP, our power partner, and they burn it and make electricity with it. And we do get
Thanks.
some, very little back on it, but we do get some.
Okay. Alderman Jettie, did you have any other follow-up questions?
Yes, I did. So Superintendent LaFleur, when you talk about expansion, you're talking about the, as the, just like this new phase 3, you're talking about the cost of laying the pipes that collect the gas and transport them to the facility that is able to collect them and sell them.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and if I have one more follow-up, if I could, Mr. Chairman.
Sure, go ahead.
And that is regarding the equipment coverage and storage. Being able to cover the equipment, I understand the value of that in prolonging the life of the equipment, so it's not just sitting out there in the weather. But in view of the fact that we are building a new building there, and there's talk about in the future, moving, possibly moving the street department over there. Does this plan take that all into consideration? I see it's got a useful life of 20 years. Are you, I'm assuming, and I'm more of a softball question, I'm assuming that you've planned for the possible addition of this, of more buildings, and you've got the room for that, and this is going to be located in a place that wouldn't interfere with all of that.
Absolutely, sir. And my vision would be something that would be movable. So we would set it up, and the building of the garage would be several years down the line. We'd have the area up close where we're working now, and when we're ready to build the garage, this shelter could be moved.
Okay, thank you. All
set, Alderman Jettie?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions relative to R26, R21106? Alderman Lou?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just wondering how much of the 2.7 million is equipment and how much is the various other sundries? Is it the 2.7 that is the 2 trucks and also some other items? I'm not, let me.
I could read them off if you'd like, Alderman Dowd.
Yeah, I was just gonna, I don't know where she went, but yes, go
I'm
ahead.
just wondering what the trucks, what dollar amount the trucks are.
Superintendent LaFleur is gonna cover that.
The 2 wet refuse trucks would be about approximately $600,000. Our solid waste landfill scale replacement is approximately $400,000. The solid waste equipment covered storage area would be about $500,000, and my landfill gas expansion is $1.2 million.
Okay, the 2 trucks are 600.
Approximately, yes.
Thank you.
All set, Alderman Lou?
Yes.
Anyone else have questions or concerns relative to this resolution? Seeing none, Alderman O'Brien, would you please call the roll?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Alderman Clemmons.
Yes.
Alderman Clemmons votes yes. Alderman Schmidt.
Yes.
Alderman Schmidt votes yes. Alderman Jettie.
Yes.
Alderman Jettie votes yes. Alderman Wilshire.
Yes.
Alderman Wilshire votes yes. The clerk, Alderman O'Brien votes yes. Alderwoman Kelly.
I hit the wrong button. Yes.
Alderwoman Kelly votes yes. Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
Alderman Dow votes yes, Mr. Chairman, 7 yeas, 0 nays.
Okay, R 21-106 carries. Next is R 21-107, authorizing the mayor and the city treasurer to issue bonds not to exceed the amount of $5,150,000 for the city's sewer infrastructure program. Alderman O'Brien.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion to recommend final passage by roll call.
Okay, the motion on the floor is to recommend final passage of R 21-107. Are there any questions or concerns relative to this resolution? Alderman Jettie?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We just had a couple of hearings about the increase in wastewater fees. Could someone explain how this this $5 million bond, how does that work into the need for the increase in the wastewater fees?
Director Fodor, do you want Dan to answer that? Mr. Hudson?
Sure. So in that fee projection, this cost was included. We anticipated the need to do this on a continuing basis for the foreseeable future. So that was included in the costing that was projected as part of that rates analysis.
And this is meeting the EPA standards in the permitting.
Correct.
Alderman Jettie?
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Any other questions or concerns relative to this resolution? Seeing no one and no hands. Alderman O'Brien.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Alderman Clemmons.
Yes.
Alderman Clemmons votes yes. Alderman Schmidt.
Alderman Schmidt votes yes.
Okay, Alderman Jettie.
Yes.
Alderman Jettie votes yes. Alderman Wiltshire.
Yes.
Alderman Wiltshire votes yes. The clerk, Alderman O'Brien, votes yes. Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderwoman Kelly votes yes. Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
Alderman Dowd votes yes, Mr. Chairman, at 7 yeas, 0 nays.
R 21-107 is adopted. Okay. We are now going to go into R 21-108. So I know the Department of Public Works will want to stay, but some of the other city employees may want to log off. So R 21-108 is approving the cost items of a collective bargaining agreement between the Board of Public Works of the City of Nashua, New Hampshire, and Local 365 of the All-American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, AFL-CIO, AFSCME, from July 1st, 2017 through June 30th, 2023, and authorizing the related transfers. Is there someone that would like to introduce and discuss that resolution? Director Photo or Alderman?
I think Attorney Bolton will speak to it, at least first.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the collective bargaining agreement that covers most of the employees in our Public Works division. As you can see from the years it covers, we're somewhat behind. It took approximately 4.5 years to come to agreement on the various provisions, and what you have before you is the result of a lot of effort over an extended period of time. We believe we've achieved some improvements in the work rules, some cost efficiencies, and all with fairly modest increases in compensation. So we're quite happy with the way this came out.
Also, I don't know if you mentioned it, but they also agreed to the city's new health plan.
Yes, that's included.
Okay. And I think we should have made a motion beforehand, but if you're all set, Alderman O'Brien, you want to make that motion?
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion, recommend final passage by roll call.
Okay, so the motion on the floor is to recommend final passage. You've heard the explanation of the contract for R21-108. Are there any questions or concerns by members of the committee? Or other aldermen? Seeing none. Alderman Ryan, you want to call the roll?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Alderman Clemmons.
Yes.
Alderman Clemmons votes yea. Alderman Schmidt.
Yes.
Alderman Schmidt votes yea. Alderman Jettie.
Yes.
Alderman Jettie votes yea. Alderman Wiltshire.
Yes.
Alderman Wiltshire votes yes. Alderman O'Brien, the clerk, votes yes. Alderwoman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderwoman Kelly votes yes. Alderman Dowd.
Yes. So
Chairman, that's 7 yeas, 0 nays.
motion carried. New business ordinances.
There are none.
We are not ready yet to take anything off the table. We will be talking about, I think, 028, the meeting in early February. General discussion. Okay, none. Public comment. Is there anyone on from the public that joined us that would have like any questions relative to what was covered this evening?
I raised my hand for general discussion.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see you.
No, that's
Go
okay.
ahead.
I'm not sure if I'm not in the committee, but I just wanted to wrap up something. I did look at the SURF schedule, and I don't believe that the 2 trucks for Public Works are on that schedule. It seems to me everything that was scheduled in the 2021 year has been addressed, and I just looking for some understanding of why this is going into the into bonding as well. Maybe I misunderstand the SURF schedule. Is it meant to be a list of capital equipment that will be replaced exclusively, or are there others that get thrown in throughout the year?
Director Photo, do you want to address that?
I don't have the SURF schedule in front of me, Alderman Lou, but it is on the SURF schedule. I think I think Treasurer Fredette said he would be sending it to either this evening or tomorrow, and you will see that the trucks are on the SURF schedule.
Okay.
Yeah, they are there. I wish I had it in front of me so I could point to you exactly, but I'm happy once you receive it to go over all of the Public Works vehicles with you. You're welcome.
Yeah, the names may not be exact. Sometimes the names don't exactly match up.
Yeah.
But it's the same vehicle.
So sometimes too, another thing that happens that you might find, Alderwoman Lou, is that we may defer trucks 1 year. So it may be actually in fiscal year 20, for instance, but we deferred it. So then now we're purchasing them just a year later. So that could be some of what may be a little bit confusing.
If memory serves from the SURF schedule, I think you did defer a couple from last year's budget.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it wouldn't be in the 21 or 22, it would have been in the 20.
Correct.
Yeah. Any other aldermanic comments? Okay. We had no public comment or remarks, no additional remarks by alderman. We do not need a non-public. And it's once again time for Alderman O'Brien.
Woo-hoo. Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion to adjourn by roll call.
Motion is to adjourn by roll call. Would you please call the roll?
Alderman Clemmons.
Yes.
Alderman Clevens votes yes. Alderman Schmidt.
Yes.
Alderman Schmidt votes yes. Alderman Jettie.
Yes.
Alderman Jettie votes yes. Alderman Wilshire.
Yes.
Alderman Wilshire votes yes. The clerk, Alderman O'Brien, votes yes. Alderwoman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderwoman Kelly votes yes. Alderman Dowd.
Yes,
Mr. Chairman, 7 yeas, 0 nays.
motion carried. Okay, thank you everyone for being here for this evening's meeting, and it went fairly smoothly. And we're adjourned at 8:07 PM.